This conference will now be recorded.
Vande Guru Parambaram Ragadirogan Sadadanushaktan Sheshakaya Prasrudan Sheshan Aulsukyamoharadidan Jakhana Yopurva Vaidyaya Namostu Tasmai. Once again, Namaskaram to all of you. Now we are going through the chapter Doshopakramaniyam, and we have reached up to the shloka number 18. Tadha tebhyah srodomukha vishodhanad vruddhyabhishyandanad pagad koshtam vayoscha nigrahad. That is where we concluded. We will start with the next shloka. So I hope we have the context with us. We were discussing about the concepts that Shuddha Chikilsa, Ashuddha Chikilsa. Then we were talking about the concepts of Chayam, Kopam and Shamam. So Chaya eva jayed dosham, that was the rule that is to be followed. Then Kopam is to be understood as a departure of the Prakrita dosha through the sequence of Chaya to create morbid interactions between the with the Dushya. So then there was a, and ideally every Chikilsa should be Shuddha Chikilsa. I do not know whether my words gave a wrong notion the other day that you can do Ashuddha Chikilsa also. But ideally that is not the statement, or that is not the condition. We have to go for Shuddha Chikilsa. Shuddha Chikilsa to the best level possible. But in many Advaiga conditions or in very strange situations, some extraordinary situations, you may be forced to go through Ashuddha Chikilsa as well. But that should not be a random choice, but a well thought decision. You should be fully aware that these are the things that are expected to happen, and the consequences, everything. So that way it should be a perfectly planned execution of treatment. Fine. Then we have to we thought about then how will the doshas go to this stage of kopa, how they will move away from the koshtha to cause this sort of murchana with dushya. Then we discussed vyayama, dushmanas, taikshnya, all these things. That is how we are here. Then by multiple reasons, either it can cause vyadhi in various sites, yatra sangha khavaigunyad. For multiple reasons, it can come back to koshtha as well. And once they reach back to koshtha, what will happen? That is the next line. Tatrasthascha vilamberan bhuyo hedu pradikshinaha. Tatrasthascha vilamberan. Back in the koshtha, they will wait. Vilamberan. They will wait for what? Hedu pradikshinaha. Hedu pradikshinaha. Pradikshinaha. Expecting or waiting for hedu. For next reason. Next good reason to move again from their original seat, original sthana, to the other srotas, shakhasthi and seeking the potential cause, seeking the potential opportunity to cause a vyadhi. That is tatrasthascha vilamberan bhuyo hedu pradikshinaha. So this picture should be there in our mind. Then sometimes, next line, te kaladibalam labdhva kupyandyanyashrayeshvapi. Te kaladibalam labdhva kupyandi anyashrayeshu api. So generally we think that each dosha has got its own potential territories for manifestation of diseases, its own territories. But that need not be the case always. If the situations are favorable in the sense to create some sort of a mischief, create some sort of a wrongdoing, then a dosha can cause vyadhi in any seat, irrespective of the basic rule that this particular dosha has got this particular ashraya, this particular dosha has got this particular srodhas for its affinity. So that sort of basic things can be violated, provided there is a good reason to go for that. Te kaladi balam labdhva. Kaladi means the nimitta karanas. Kala artha karmanam hina mithyadi matrakah yogaha. So kaladi balam labdhva kupyandi anyashrayeshu abhi kupyandi. Then so we have got two sets of explanations now. Number one, sometimes a dosha causing vyadhi in its own location, its own site. Number two, dosha causing vyadhi in some other location which is not basically assigned for its operation. In such a situation, we call these two vyadhis by two different names. If one dosha is generating some issue on a site which is assigned for its operation basically, then that dosha will be called as sthani dosha. Whereas if it is creating a vyadhi in a strange location, in the location of some other dosha which is not attributed or assigned for its operation, then that particular dosha will be called as agandu dosha. Here you should have a very clear-cut idea about the difference between agandu vyadhi, which we are making as a classification of disease in general, where the other one is nija and agandu. Here it is not about the vyadhi we are calling, but about the dosha. And here the names are sthani and agandu. Sthani and agandu. The other one was nija and agandu. You should have a clear-cut idea about how these things are different. This is happening because agandu literally means something which has come from outside. So when we consider our body as a unit, anything which is coming from outside and causing a disease will be called as agandu, and such diseases by default are known as agandu vyadhis. Whereas here within the system we are giving different territories assigned for the operation of different doshas. So any dosha which is coming from a different sthana within the system and getting settled in the territory or site of another dosha. So in that context, this particular dosha is an agandu which has come from outside the particular territory. So that dosha is known as agandu dosha, not agandu vyadhi, or any disease caused by such an agandu dosha will not be called as an agandu vyadhi. I hope I am not complicating here. So here we have got agandu dosha and sthani dosha. So we can have some sort of an understanding about how the upakrama of these doshas should be planned. That is what we are going to discuss next. Tatra anyasthana samstheshu tadiyam abaleshu tu kuryat chikilsam swameva balena anyabhibhavishu. First part we will see first. Tatra anyasthana samstheshu tadiyam abaleshu tu kuryat chikilsam. Tatra anyasthana samstheshu abaleshu tu tadiyam chikilsam kuryad. Tatra anyasthana samstheshu abaleshu tu tadiyam chikilsam kuryad. Anyasthana samstheshu dosheshu. When we are considering a dosha which has gone to a different territory, to the territory of a different dosha and causing a disease, but that dosha is abala, weak by strength, it is weak, durbala or abala, but still it was strong enough to cause a disease. Don't think that it was a weak to such an extent that it did not create any disease, then it is not in the context of discussion. It generated a disease, but when compared with the stat, it is a comparative statement. When compared with the dosha which is already seated there, this particular component was weak. I hope you are able to imagine such a situation. So basically there is involvement of two doshas. One dosha is A, one dosha is B. Both have their own sites. A travels by nidana to the site of B. Please listen. A travels to the site of B and creates a disease. Obviously we should understand that B also will be involved in that disease. B also will be involved in that disease. So we have to understand, we have to evaluate the status of A and B in terms of bala, strength in that particular disease process. And if your assessment is that A is weaker than B, abalam, A is abalam or alpabalam or durbalam, then in such a situation it is advised kuryada chikilsam, do the treatment. How? Tadiyam chikilsam kuryad. Tadiyam means the treatment for the sthani dosha. That means in our example, focus on B because B is stronger than A. So A traveled from its seat to seat of B and caused a disease. But when we evaluate the strength of B is more than A, then in that case you focus on the sthani dosha, not the agandu dosha, that is A. Tatra anyasthana samstheshu tadiyam. Tadiyam means the treatment for the sthani dosha. Talsthana sthida dosha. Talsthana sthida dosha, that is the sthani dosha. Abaleshu tu kuryat chikilsam. But suppose the situation is otherwise, that means whoever has traveled, that means the agandu is stronger than the sthani dosha. A is stronger than B. Then what should be done? That is the next piece of the sloga. Swameva balena anyabhibhavishu. Balena anyabhibhavishu, by means of the strength. If the agandu dosha is causing abhibhavam, abhibhavam means it can go over the sthani dosha. It can go over the dosha, over the sthani dosha. Abhibhavam, that means to mask, to make it irrelevant comparatively. Then in that situation of abhibhava, swameva chikilsam kuryad, you do the treatment for that agandu dosha. Its own, swameva means its own. Here that its own refers to the agandu dosha which has traveled from its seat to the seat of B and generated the disease. Swameva chikilsam kuryad, when balena anyabhibhavishu. So this seems to be a rule which is to be born in our mind by common sense. There need not be any direct instruction like this, but we should not forget that this is the Sutrasthana and the chapter is Doshopakramana. So here he will be trying to explain, narrate whatever basic possibilities are there and whatever precautions are to be taken care of. That is why he is making such a very baseline treatment rule, and the next line is giving a different perspective for whatever he was talking about, and that goes like this: Agandum shamaye dosham sthaninam pradikritya va. Agandum shamayel dosham sthaninam pradikritya va. So there is a interesting option, interesting choice is opened up. That means, or the two situations I have already explained. That means if the agandu is weak, better you go for the chikilsa focusing on the sthani dosha. If the agandu is strong, then forget about the sthani dosha, go for the chikilsa of focusing on agandu. Now he is making a next statement: agandum shamayed dosham. Agandum shamayed dosham sthaninam pradikritya. Sthaninam dosham pradikritya. That means doing some sort of a mitigating act on the sthani dosha, you fight against the agandu dosha. That means initially he was asking us to forget the sthani dosha and treat the agandu dosha because the sthani dosha is very weak. But now if you go to such an extreme stand abruptly, offhand, your intervention may create problems with the sthani dosha. So while taking care of the agandu dosha aggressively, make sure that you have done sufficient steps, you have taken sufficient measures to safeguard or to mitigate the status of the sthani dosha. Then in the next option, again, first you mitigate, pacify, or some sort of a consoling act for the agandu dosha, and then treat the sthani dosha aggressively. Wow. So how will or who will decide this? The Vaidya has to decide. All these statements, agandum shamayed dosham sthaninam pradikritya, or sthaninam dosham shamayed agandum pradikritya, two options. Then tatra anyasthana samstheshu tadiyam abaleshu tu kuryat chikilsam, or swameva balena anyabhibhavishu. So we have multiple options, multiple choices, but ultimately all these things are based on the evaluation that we, the Vaidyas, make. So we have multiple choices based on your yukti, your capacity to understand the situation. Fine. So we will move forward. We were discussing about the movement of doshas in different lines. If you go through Charaka Samhita, you will find that dosha gati is explained. Dosha gati is explained. There are three types of gadis explained. Urdhva gati, adho gati, and tiryak gati. Urdhva gati, adho gati, and tiryak gati. Urdhva gati is the gati of dosha, the movement of dosha upwards in the koshta. Adho gati is the movement downward in the koshta. So within the koshta itself, we have different locations attributed for the different doshas. So they are not supposed to move beyond that limits, where in normal situation they will travel. Say for example, when we go through this Vayu, generally it is thought that okay, Vayu is Pakvashe sthita, but Pranavayu is the Murtha in Murdha, or Vyanavayu is in Uras, Samanavayu is Agni Samibasta. So there are very diverse areas for the functional manifestation of doshas. They are in Prakriti, but in Vikriti, very interesting. In Vikriti, if there is a Vadakopa, basically you have to look whether Vayu has traveled upward from its basic seat. Whether Vayu has traveled upward from its basic seat, that is Pakvashaya. In a Nija Vyadhi, especially due to the influence of the standard template of Nidanas, Nimitta Karanas, Kalartha Karmanam Yogo Hina Mithyadi Matrakaha, Vayu goes to the stages of Kopa from the basic seat in Koshta, that is Pakvashaya. Vayu travels from its base seat. So Vayu can move upward. Vayu can move Tiryag. Tiryag is traveling outside the koshta. Tiryagamana means traveling outside the koshta. Urdhagadi and adhogadi is within the koshta. Tiryagadi is going outside the koshta. There are two options, Shakha Gamanam or Madhyama Rogamarga Gamanam. Both of them are together called as Tiryagamana. Tiryag is explained as Shodhana Margam Parityajya Sthitaha. Tiryagadaha means Shodhana Margam Parityajya Sthitaha. Shodhana Margam, we know, is always connected to the koshta. So Tiryagamanam, Urdhagamanam, Adhogamanam. We have three options of doshagati. Now the movement of doshas within the koshta, that is Urdhva and Adhogati, is comparatively easy to manage. Comparatively. Because that can be managed with some sort of a quick fixes. Don't think that there are no serious ailments that is happening within the koshta. Don't think that the diseases caused by the Urdhvagati and Adhogati are nothing or very silly. It is not like that. This is a comparative statement as long as your strategizing of Upakrama is concerned. comparatively there is an ease of doing business within the koshta, whereas it is not so when we go through the Tiryagada dosha. That is why Tiryagada dosha is explained as Shodhana margam parityajya sthitaha. So we have to take some sort of an extra care while dealing with the Tiryagada dosha. In the Tiryagada dosha also we have to consider whether this dosha is Agandu dosha or Sthani dosha. Agandu dosha or Sthani dosha. So the next line. So I think all these lines will be generating some sort of a jitnasa, as I used to tell, it used to say earlier also. So Agandum samayed dosham sthaninam pradikrityavak generates that sort of a concern. How this Agandu type of movement can happen, which are the possibilities. That is why we were explaining about the Urdhagadi, Adhogadi and Tiryagadi, of which Tiryagadi needs special mentioning because they are going to create some sort of, they may mess up with the, when you deal with the treatment procedure. So they are explained separately. That is what we are going to next see. Prayastiryaggada doshaah kleshayandyāduram chiram. So that is a warning. Prayastiryaggada doshaah kleshayandyāduram chiram. Prayah tiryaggadah doshaah kleshayandi aduran chiram. Aduran chiram kleshayandi. Tiryaggadah doshaah prayah. Prayah means most probably. That means there are possibilities of exceptions. It is taken for granted. Still, in majority of the situations, Tiryaggadah doshaah aduran chiram kleshayandi. So there is no mentioning about any disease, but it is about the doshas. Tiryaggadah doshaah aduran chiram kleshayandi. Chiram kleshayandi means kleshayandi creates trouble or troubles. Chiram for long duration. They will be chronic nature, long-standing durations. Chiram kleshayandi. So what is the Upakrama Siddhantam? That is the context. Why this is mentioned? You have to be very careful while dealing with them. In the Upakrama, what should be taken care of? Next line. Kuryanna teshu tvaraya dehagni balavit kriyam. Kuryanna teshu tvaraya dehagni balavit kriyam. Dehagni balavit. Dehagni balavit is the some sort of a degree or qualification attributed to the Vaidya who is attending the case. Dehagni balavit Vaidyaha. Dehagni balavit, somebody who knows Deha bala and Agni bala of the patient. Somebody who knows the status of Deha bala and Agni bala, or Deha, Agni and bala of the patient who is going through the disease of a Tiryagada dosha. Teshu vyadhishu, in such diseases, tvaraya, don't venture into, don't risk into on a priority. Into what? Kriyam na kuryad. Kriyam na kuryad. Here kriya means basically shodhana kriya. So in such situations, don't rush into the decision of doing a shodhana chikitsa. If you feel that the dosha is in the Tiryagada territory, Shakha or Madhyama Roga Marga, don't rush into a Shodhana Chikitsa. Then what else should be done? Next line. Shamayetan prayogena. That is the first line of management. Shamayetan prayogena. prayogena tan shamayed. Prayogena. Prayogena means properly administered shamana chikitsa. Yogam, yogam, prayogam. So yukti, everything is incorporated in that word, in the word prayoga, yukti. So a properly administered shamana chikitsa should be the line of management. Shamayed, prayogena shamayed. Prayogena shamayed. A properly executed shamana chikitsa should be the first line of management. But we all know that there may be many clinical situations where the doshas cannot be contained by shamana chikitsa. They are generally known as prabhuda dosha. In prabhuda dosha, prabhude shodhanam. You have to go for shodhana. But the first line gave us a warning that dehagni balavit teshu tvaraya kriyam na kuryad. So we are some sort of a put in dilemma. Don't go for shodhana chikitsa, do shamana chikitsa, but the situation warrants shodhana chikitsa, dosha sthiti is prabhuda. Then what could be the option? See the next. Sukham va koshtamanayed. So they should be brought to the koshtha. They should be brought to the shodhana marga kendra. That is why Tiryagada was explained as shodhana margam parityajya sthitaha. Shodhana margam parityajya sthitaha. So avoid such a risk and make a clinical situation, bring a clinical situation intentionally wherein this Tiryagada dosha will quit their Tiryagada avastha. If they have to quit their Tiryagada avastha, they should come back to the Shodhana marga. Then only they will be changing the situation. So you have to do something to bring them to the Koshta. And Jnatva Koshta Pravannamscha Yatha Sannam Vinirhared. Jnatva Koshta Pravannamscha. Jnatva. You should have the Jnanam. You should have a observational skill and evaluating skill to make sure that they are optimally brought to the koshtha. Jnatva koshtha prapannamscha yadhasannam vinirhared. Yadhasannam vinirhared. Yadhasannam as per the nearest possible exit. That is yadhasannam, asannam, nearest. Yadhasannam vinirhared, do the evacuation. Vinirharanam, shodhanam. So there are very beautiful words used in it. Number one was sukham koshtamanayed. Suppose you remove the word sukham from that line. So it will be koshtamanayed. You bring it to koshtha. But that is not what you are supposed to do. You have to do it sukham. Sukham va koshtamanayed. Sukham means entire intervention should be comfortable. What is the meaning of comfortable? Sukham. That means it should not, that doesn't mean that okay, the patient should be comfortable in terms of okay, he is made to stay in an air conditioned room, or he is given his favorite dishes all the time, or there will be a few of the paricharagas to take care of his situations every now and then. It is not the meaning of sukham. Sukham here means you should not create dhadukshobham unnecessarily. All the possible unwanted dhadukshobhas should be avoided. That is sukham. And how it will be manifested, that is also sukham. Because when you look at the word sukham, you can further split it into two, su and gham. Su stands for sushtu. the perfectness. Sambannam, Sukham. Su, Gham. Gham stands for Akasham and Srodas. Akasham and Srodas. Here we will take the meaning Srodas. So, Sukham means without causing any damage to the Srodas and making sure that the Srotas are ready to do the business for you. What is the business? Bringing the Prabhuda dosha to the Koshta from the present seat. So that word Sukham, which we will leave in our casual reading, is $1 million word. Sukham. And you have to understand, I'm just making some sort of a Shakha Chankramanam, that Sukham, when you say Sukha Sapnyagam Arogyam Vikaro Dukkhamevacha, means Arogyam is the perfect status of your Srodas, and Vikaram represents Dukkham, Dushta Gham, Dushta Srodas. That means Srodo Dushti. So Vikara is Dukkham, means the dosha, the Srodas are Dushtam. So here, while planning the Shodhana Chikitsa, Sukham va Koshtamanayed, you have to avoid the risk of causing unwanted Dhaduk Shobha, and you have to make sure that the Srodas are not damaged, they are in perfect shape. Now you will be able to connect this with the previous shloka which we learned. Tadha tebhyah Srodo Mukha Vishodhanad Vruddhya Abhishyandanaad Koshtam Vruddhya Abhishyandanaad Padaad Koshtam Vayoscha Nigrahad. So there is Srodo Mukha Vishodhanad. So that Srodo Mukha Vishodhana ensures this sort of Sukham. Sukham va Koshtamanayed. Then next is Jnatva. Next word is Jnatva. You will find many types of verbs or related verbs, pratyaya, or all these things used. Here the word is Jnatva. So you need some sort of a jnanam. Actually, how do you understand this koshta that has come to the koshta? By seeing the lakshanas. So they could have used the word called lakshayitva, viditva. All these things could have used, but here the phrase, the word used is jnatva. So you have to put some sort of a jnanam into it, which you have to achieve by shastrabhyasanam and drishtakarmata. Shastrabhyasanam and drishtakarmata. So here the word used became jnatva. So that is the beauty. Certain words are used with caution, and they will communicate that this is what we miss in translations. In a translation, you may not be focusing on explaining the word sukham with such details, or jnatva with such details. It will be just translated to the other language. That is the beauty of focusing on certain words in certain contexts. Fine. So jnatva koshta prapannamscha, koshta prapannan doshan jnatva yadhasannam vinirhared. In the koshta, you have to see which is the asanna ayanam shodhana margam. Jnatva koshta prapannamscha yadhasannam vinirhared. Vinirhared. So here the jijnasa is, okay, fine, we are trying to bring the dosha from the Tiryak Gadavastha to the Koshta Gadavastha. What all things can prevent such an intervention? What all could be the threats in doing or in delivering such an operation? So you will have to look into another crucial factor, a factor where this sukhavastha cannot be prevailing. Sukhavastha may not be prevailing. So he is forced to warn you. So he is forced to advise us about such a very critical situation. And obviously, the next lines are for that. Let us see. Srodhorodha balabhramsha gauravaanilamudhata alasya abhakti nishtiva malasanga arujiklamaha lingam malanam samanam. So we may feel that out of context he is going to explain something. It is not so. It is not out of context. It is precisely sharp. It is precisely placed. It is here that this should be explained. He was talking about bringing the doshas to the koshta, and you have to take care that there should be sukham, there should be jnanam, and the sukham is about that srodho mukha visodhanam and pagam. All these things are to be happened, and then that the tools were like that. So srodho mukha visodhanam, vruddhi, abhishyandam, pagam, all these things are to be the tool. But there can be situations where this will not happen, and the patient will be presenting with srodhorodham, balabhramsham. The previous line we saw that dehagni bala with kriyam tvaraya na kuryad. So there will be balabhramsham. Then certain other features, gauravam, anila mudhada. In anila mudhada is there, you cannot bring about the doshas back to the koshta, because that is that marudasya, that dhrudatvan marudasya, all these things we discussed in the other lesson. Then the patient will be presenting with alasyam, apakti, nishtivam, malasangam, aruji, klamam. This second line exclusively tells you about the status of durbalagni. Alasya, apakti, nishtiva, malasanga, aruji, klamaha. So here practically there is no dehabala, there is no agni bala, there is no vayu support, there is no srodha support. Such a situation may come, you have to be very careful, and that situation should be understood as samam. That should be understood as samam. Samam means a situation where amam is attached. Amam is apakvam. So apakvam can be translated, again we are coming about translation, immature. Immature. So immature for what? When we are talking the character of a particular person, why don't you send him for initiating such a dialogue? Then the other fellow is talking, the other fellow is commenting, no, he is not mature enough. He is immature. Immature for initiating such a dialogue. We have to look for somebody. So immature is representing the sort of a lack of preparedness. Lack of preparedness. So when a dosha is immature, when dosha is samam, that shows its lack of preparedness. Preparedness for what? Preparedness for getting drained to the koshta from its present seat. It will stay on its own seat, some sort of a lockdown. It will be sitting on its own seat. Wherever you are, stay there. That is sama. It is immature, apakvam. So it is very contextual. By seeing, evaluating these sort of features, srodho rodha, balabhramsha, gaurava, anila mudhata, alasya, apakti, nishtiva, malasanga, aruji, klamaha, you have to understand that the doshas are immature to engage themselves in the process of draining them to koshta. So don't risk, don't venture into, don't rush to go for a shodhana. Then obviously in the context he is giving, you have to do something you have to wait for something where this situation will be reversed, and that situation will be then called as niramam. Niramam. So he is concluding that passage with niramanam viparyayah. Niramam is pakvam. Niramam nam viparyayah. This scene will be reversed. This rodha, etc. scene will be reversed. Then you can understand that he is mature enough to engage in a dialogue. Now he may be sent for initiating an entrepreneurship, for initiating a business deal, because now he is pakwa, he is mature enough. So now the dosha can be brought into the koshta. That means you cannot leave it as such. Now you can bring it to the koshta. Now you have a question. We are not familiar with the word samam. Samam, you told it is sa-amam. What is amam? That is the question. What is amam? So obviously we are switching over to define what is amam. That is what we see in the next slide. ऊष्मणोऽल्पबलत्वेन धातुमाद्यमवाजितं दुष्टमामाशयगदं रसमामं प्रचक्षते. ऊष्मणोऽल्पबलत्वेन धातुमाद्यमपाजितं दुष्टमामाशयगदं रसम आमं प्रचक्षते. We will see ऊष्मणः अल्पबलत्वेन धातुम् आद्यम् अपाचितं दुष्टम् आमाशयगदं रसम आमं प्रचक्षते. Rasam amam prachakshate. We call rasam amam. Rasam is amam. What sort of rasam? That is not the common rasam. What are the other designations given to that particular rasam? It is amashaya gadam. Amashaya gadam means amashaya sthidam. Amashaya gadam, amashaya sthidam. Then another quality, it is dushtam. So dushtam rasam, amashayasthidam rasam, then apajidam rasam. Apajidam rasam. Apajidam means either no pajana has happened or alpapajidam. Alpapajana has happened. Both are equally bad. Either alpapajanam or apajanam. Apajitam. So the rasa is, there is no doubt about what this rasa is. It is called as adyam dhadum. So it is the adya dhadu rasa. It is apajita, kinchit pakwa. It is dushta, and it is amashya sthita. Amashya sthidam means body has denied entry for this particular system, particular rasa into the system. That is why it is just holding itself back in the check post. As we are seeing, these people are getting stuck in the check post these days for interstate movement. They are stuck. From the amashaya, this rasa is not getting entry into the next state. That means the rasa, the system. So they are stuck. Why they are not allowed? It is apakvam, apajitam, and it is dushtam. Why it is dushtam? Why it is apajitam? That is the first line. Ushmanaha alpabalattvena. Ushmanaha alpabalattvena. Ushma, Agni. He is supposed to be the person who is to make the necessary transformations and certify that, okay, now this fellow may be allowed to enter into the system. A pass may be given. But unfortunately, that certifying agency is not working properly. So the transformation of this particular thing is not happened properly. It is apajitam. And apajitam obviously becomes dushtam. So it is dushtam. As it is not allowed to get into the system, it is still retaining in amashayam. Such a rasa, adhyadhadu rasa, is known as amam prachakshate. This is amam. So there is a notion that amam is always in the amashayam. Actually, the amashayam got its name amashayam because it carries amam. But it is not this amam. It is ama annam, apakwa annam. For further process of getting processed by Agni, for certain time, this apakwa annam is held in a particular location, in a particular utensil, and that utensil is known as amase. But now it has got the same name for a different reason. It is now amasayam because there is apajita rasadhadu in it. Ama rasadhadu in it. So that particular material, now it is a material which is retained in the amashayam, is known as amam. So we get a feeling that always amam will be in amashayam, but practically it is not the case. What we were explaining just before, that when sama dosha is in the tiryagada you should not venture in for a quick shodhana chikitsa. So there we have sama dosha in the shakha or in the madhyama roga marga. So how did they go there? Is it just an extension of what has happened in the amashya or something else? Is there a possibility of this same thing happening inside the system other than amashya? So these sort of questions are there, and we have to look into that possibility, and that is the what the next line is explained. And I think I would not like to go to that lines now, because I think it is almost the time for our completion of our 50-minute session. And more than that, these two lines are to be contemplated deeply. So I don't want to mix up the next two lines right now today. You have to go in depth. I'm requesting to the students, sorry, pardon me, especially the senior Vaidyas, for coming or spending your or grabbing your time very much on the basics. But I think for the student community, this should be very, very crucial, because if they don't understand these things properly, they will be just speaking about ama, sama, nirama, all these things, but they will not be understanding what the ama is. So we will be contemplating on these two lines very deeply, and when we start our next class the other day, we will be still discussing something about these two lines and make it a point that idea is clear. So with this I conclude, and now we will switch over to the Q&A session. Thank you for patient listening. I hope I'm not overloading you with unnecessary ideas, unnecessary examples and everything. And if you feel like that, please feel free to comment straightforward. And now we will move to the Q&A session. Vaidya Nilesh, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see a few questions here. Sir, should I read the questions or?
Yeah, you can. That may be better, I think, because otherwise, say, especially in the recording factor also, I think otherwise these questions will not come, and I'll be just speaking out the answers alone. So I think if you prioritize and read out the questions, that will be better.
Yes, yes.
If you don't mind.
So the first question is, can we take that if Agantu dosha travels to the sthana of another dosha, is it based on the nidana that decides the sthana to which the dosha shall travel and cause disease? If so, can you explain with an example?
Fine. There are two possibilities. Number one is, as very well explained in the question itself, nidana has got such a tendency. Nidana has got a tendency. See, I will give you an example about certain dravyas, achakshushya dravyas. Achakshushya dravya. So the nidana is achakshushya. So it will be causing some sort of a chakshu based dushti. Chakshus basically is a seat of pitta. Of course, kabha as well, but we all attribute the chakshus as a pitta sthana, agni sthana. But we find that chakshus tejomayam tasya visheshad shleshmado bhayam. So there can be many achakshushya factors which are kabha predominant. So here the kabha predominant nidana, just by its capacity of becoming an achakshushya, nidana visheshata, hedu visheshata, it is going to traverse the entire territory of the dehadesha and reach in a pitta sthana and creating a problem for it. So there the sthani dosha is pitta and the agandu dosha is kabha. Agandu dosha is going to predominate over the sthani dosha, and you will have to focus on the agandu dosha, kabha. The chikitsa should be kabhahara. So that is one common possibility. Chakshus tejomayam tasya visheshad shleshmado bhayam. And another possibility is, sometimes there may be a pre-existing srodo dushti which will be inviting certain types of dosha dushti. Srodo dushti, peculiar type of srodo dushti inviting peculiar type of dosha dushti. One example could be when your yagrit run out of track and generate some sort of a srodo dushti within it. Even without any specific push from the nidana, your yagrit will start attracting shleshma. Yagrit will start attracting shleshma unnecessarily. So it is, there need not be any extra push from the nidana, but the srodo dushti decides that I am going to call upon shleshma unnecessarily. Yagrit is basically a pitta sthana, but now it is attracting shleshma dushti. The shleshma is agandu, nija dosha is pitta. Then the yagrit will be afflicted by shleshma predominant vyadhis, and here it is not by the power of the nidana but because of the srodo dushti that has happened in the sthana vishesha, that such a situation is happening. So I think that these two possibilities are to be considered. There may be another examples as well, there may be another situations as well, because all these things are very subtle in their understanding. You have to be very keen on understanding what is happening, why this is so, why it is not so. All these things are to be evaluated very precisely. Anyway, that is a very intelligent question. I think I have answered it.
Okay, sir. The next question is, in case of Sandhigat Vata, Kapha is the sthana of Sandhi. Vata comes to Kapha sthana. So we have to do Kapha dosha or Vata dosh chikitsa. In Sandhi Vata, tool is predominant.
Okay, fine. I think the two parts for the question. Fine. This Sandhi is a sthana of Shleshma. There is Shleshaga Kapha. Shleshaga Sandhishu Sthitaha. But interestingly, it is a part of Madhyama Roga Marga as well. Asti Sandhi. And Madhyama Roga Marga in general is predominated by Vayu. Vayu is, especially when you consider Asti Sandhi, Vayu is the king. And he is the factor which brings about all the Chalana Visheshas, the movements of the Asti Sandhi. So that is the king there. But when this king intervenes in the business, there can be lot of Rukshada setting in the Sandhi. Actually, Shleshaka Kabha is put in place in these Sandhis to avoid that, to avoid the possibility of developing Rukshada and to facilitate smooth operation of Vayu. Otherwise, in no time, Vayu will damage the entire system. So that is how the Vayu and Shleshma is incorporating in the function of Asti Sandhi. Fine. Now you can think about it. What is happening? If it is the Shleshma Kshaya, then obviously the Vayu will gain over it. Any Shleshma Kshaya is a Vikruti, even if it is in Sandhi or somewhere else. When there is a Vikruti, Shleshma Kshaya, Vayu wins over the situation and start creating the things that is the Shula, Ruk or whatever things you mentioned earlier. Then in such situation, you can decide Sthana Vishesha Sandhi was a sthana of Kabha as well as Vayu. Now that balance is broken. Kabha is Kshina and Vayu is Vritha. So obviously what happens? You have to decide what should be the line of management. Here you cannot say that Vayu is Agandu or Shleshma is Sthani, because both were Sthani doshas there. In Sandhi, Vayu is also Sthani and Shleshma is also Sthani. But an imbalance has happened. Some sort of a Vikriti has happened. So prioritize. What are you going to address first? First, you are going to pacify the Vayu and increase the Shleshma later. Increase the Shleshma first, then control the Vayu, or in practice, both happening together. If you are very particular, if you are very sharp in understanding why the Shleshma Kshaya has happened in terms of the Guna, one single intervention may be addressing both Vada Shamana as well as Shleshma Vritti, can be brought about by one single intervention if you have some precise understanding of the Nidana in terms of Gunas. So there is no question of Sthani Agandu differentiation in Sandhigada Kabha Vada imbalance. I hope I am clear, but I think priorities are the Vaidyas.
Yes, sir, sure. The next question is, can you give some examples of Tiryak dosh in the seat of other dosha, maybe in some Vyadhi Samprapti?
Yeah, there can be many. There can be many. See, in there are many situations like Kabhavruddhi in Rakta. Kabhavruddhi in Rakta. Basically, Rakta is a Pitta Sthana. Rakta is a Pitta Sthana, and a Kabhavruddhi in Rakta is not uncommon. As I told earlier, if you go through Ashtanga Sangraham, you will find a list of things happening in different seats, of which it is explained Shleshma Tvajisthidah Kuryad Stambham Shvedavabhasadam Pandvamayam Shonidago. When Shleshma is increasing in Rakta, Rakta is a, you have to, it is a Tiryagamana of Shleshma from its own seat. And it is attacking a different site also, not its own seat. Then it can create Pandvamayam. It can create a Pandvamayam. So don't, at this point, let me specifically say that this Pandvamayam is not the classical Panduroga which is explained in Nidanasthana, but by presentation, it looks like Pandvamayam. Or again, when Pitta goes to other seats, say for example, from the Pitta, from the Koshta, the Pitta travels Tiryagamana, then Rakte Visarpam. Rakta is its own seat, no problem. But Mamse Mamspaga Kodhanam. When there is a Mamsa Kodha, Mamsa is not Pitta Sthana, it is a Shleshma Sthana. But Pitta can travel from the Koshta in the Tiryagamana mode, attack the Mamsa and create Mamspaga Kodhanam. Then in Medas, Sadahan Medasi Grandhin Svedakyudgamanam Trisham. When Pitta attacks Medas, it can create Sadahan Grandhin based on Medas. Then Trishna, it can create. Svedakyudgamanam, it can create. So all these are clinical situations where you have to consider what we were discussing so far. I think these examples will give you some idea about the story.
Okay, sir. The next question is, how a Vaidya can judge the comparative power of Sthanik and Agantush dosha?
It's a very tough question to answer because see, while in the previous chapter we saw that we just listed out the entire spectrum of presentation in a handful of lines, and then that line was concluded like abhyasal prapyade drishti karma siddhi prakashini. So by repeated observations, by understanding, seeing what is the situation, in due course you will be understanding, okay, this is a Tiryagata dosha, this is a Pravruddha dosha, this is stronger than the other one. So as far as body is concerned, its language is lakshanas. Its language is lakshanas. So the strength, all these things are to be, then in Sarvaroga Nidanam, there will be an explanation of understanding the Vyadhi Bala. That can be used for dosha bala as well. That is hetwadi karsnya avayavai bala bala visheshanam. Sarvaroga Nidanam, Ashtanga Nidanasthanam, first chapter. Hetwadi karsnya avayavai. If there are two doshas, hetwadi means hedu, purva rupa, rupa. So find the fullness of these aspects of the two doshas concerned. Whether there is full support of Nidana for the dosha A or for B. If it is for A, presume that A will be stronger. Then Purva Rupa, during the evolution of the Vyadhi, during the Purva Rupa situations, if more symptoms are suggestive of the dosha A, presume that it is stronger. In the Lakshana, if the entire spectrum of presentation, if it is more suggestive of dosha A, presume that it is stronger. So all these techniques can be employed, but ultimately the rule prevailing is abhyasal prapyade drishti karma siddhi prakashini. That is what I can say now.
Okay, sir. Okay. The next question about Am and Ajirna, I think we can cover it in the next session.
Yes, yes.
Next session is, yes, the difference between Agantu and Unmargagami dosha.
Agandu and Unmargagami. All Agandus need not be Unmargagami. That is, I think that may be one word answer for that. All agandus need not be unmarga gamana. I think if the person who asked the question is giving some sort of a situation specifically, I think I may be able to give a better answer with examples. Otherwise, this is the simple answer. That means all agandus need not be unmarga gamana. If there is a specific example, I think I may be able to give, or in which situation the question is raised, I think it will be easy. Unmarga gamanam is some sort of a agandu gamanam, but I think in specific clinical situations things will be easy to explain. By meaning, by literal meaning, this agandu and unmarga gamana may be treated as one and same, but in different clinical situations they may be little bit different. I think if the question, I mean the person who asked the question, if they are making it in a situation wise specificity, I think I may be able to give a better answer.
Okay, sir.